In hockey, danger often hides in the noise. The scrape of skates, the echo off the boards, the pause before contact. Some players chase goals, others make saves, but a rare few existed to police the ice, to deliver a message in gloves and grit. These were the enforcers, men whose glare could freeze the blood and whose punch broke silence. When they skated onto the ice, rivals watched their path. When they dropped the gloves, even the boldest turned wary. This is a countdown of NHL enforcers who terrified everyone on the ice. The Warriors, the Bruisers, the legends whose mere presence made the game darker. Let's drop the gloves and begin. Number 10, Chris Simon. Chris Simon brought a volatile mix of size, anger, and unpredictability. At 6'3" and over 230 pounds, he was already imposing. But beyond the physical, his reputation came from explosive moments that would go viral even in today's standards. Over his long career, he collected nearly 2,000 penalty minutes and became known for losing control in a way few players dared. In one infamous moment, while in the penalty box, Simon went after a spectator through the glass. Moments like that made his name synonymous with chaos. He didn't merely fight, he broke the rules just to make his point. For teammates, he was a shield. For opponents, a storm waiting to happen. When Simon locked eyes with someone across the ice, you didn't wonder if he'd start something. You braced for the eruption. Number 9, Stu the Grim Reaper Grimson. Stu Grimson was 6'5" and built like a fortress. His nickname, the Grim Reaper, wasn't an exaggeration. When he skated toward you, you could feel the dread spread across the bench. Grimson didn't scream, didn't taunt. He simply stared. That calm before the storm was his weapon. He went toe-to-toe with the biggest names in the game. Bob Probert, Tie Domi, Donald Brassier, and never flinched. He had an almost professional boxer's approach. Patient, balanced, deadly. When he dropped his gloves, arenas went quiet. Fans knew they were about to witness a demolition. Even now, decades later, clips of Grimson's fights stand out for their precision and ferocity. He wasn't there for show. He was there to finish business, one punch at a time. Number 8, Joey the Hammer Couture. Joey Couture's right hand was legendary. They called him the Hammer. And it wasn't just a nickname, it was a warning. As part of the Detroit Red Wings' infamous Bruise Brothers duo with Bob Probert, Couture was the last person anyone wanted to meet in a corner battle. His punches broke helmets, split visors, and often left opponents with bruises that lasted weeks. Players said getting hit by Couture felt like being hit by a brick wall. He fought with precision, conserving his energy until the moment came, then striking with devastating force. But what made him even more intimidating was his control. He rarely lost composure, even in chaos. When Joey Couture skated toward you, it wasn't a fight you were entering, it was an execution. Number 7, Chris Knuckles Nealon. Chris Nealon didn't wait for trouble, he went looking for it. Nicknamed Knuckles, for obvious reasons, he was the kind of player who thrived in the chaos that others tried to avoid. His penalty minute average remains one of the highest in NHL history. In one unforgettable night, he racked up 42 penalty minutes in a single game, setting a record that still stands. He was relentless, bleeding one moment, fighting the next, and smiling through it all. Nealon fought for his team, for pride, and sometimes just because someone looked at him wrong. His style wasn't elegant, it was brutal, raw, and unfiltered, but every punch he threw was a message. You mess with my team, you deal with me. Chris Nealon didn't just play hockey, he lived in the violence that came with it. Number 6, Dave the Hammer Schultz. Before tough became a cliche, there was Dave Schultz. Known as the Hammer, he was the face of the Philadelphia Flyers' notorious Broad Street Bullies in the 1970s. Schultz didn't just protect his team, he set the tone for an entire era of fear. In the 1974-75 season, he accumulated a staggering 472 penalty minutes, a record that still feels impossible today. Every team that faced the Flyers knew what awaited them: bruises, broken noses, and a long night of punishment. Schultz was the law on ice. He didn't start fights for fun, he started them to make a point, and he ended them with authority. His presence helped the Flyers capture back-to-back Stanley Cups, and his shadow still lingers over the league as a symbol of controlled brutality. Number 5, Tie Domi. Tie Domi was built like a tank, short but dense and fearless to the core. Standing at just 5'10", he fought men much taller, much heavier, and usually won. He holds the record for the most fighting majors in NHL history, an astonishing 333. Domi's name became synonymous with entertainment and intimidation. He didn't just fight, he performed. When he sat in the penalty box, fans heckled him, and he heckled back. In one of hockey's most famous incidents, a fan fell into the box after taunting him, and Domi responded with a quick punch that became replayed for years. But what set Domi apart wasn't just his aggression, it was his charisma. He laughed in the face of chaos, smirked while bleeding, and made every confrontation unforgettable. Tie Domi wasn't just feared, he was loved for how he made fear look fun. Number 4, Terry O'Reilly. If anger could skate, it would look like Terry O'Reilly. The longtime Boston Bruin was less a player and more a controlled riot on blades. He didn't wait for whistles or warnings. He charged, shoved, fought, and never backed down. In one unforgettable night, O'Reilly climbed over the glass to confront a fan who had attacked a teammate, a moment that captured his loyalty and his fury. Season after season, he collected over 200 penalty minutes, yet he also contributed offensively, scoring goals and assists between brawls. O'Reilly was unpredictable, wild, and impossible to intimidate. The other team never knew if they were facing a hockey player or a storm in human form. And that unpredictability, that edge, made him one of the most feared enforcers in NHL history. Number 3, Donald Brashear. Donald Brashear was the modern version of an old-school enforcer. He wasn't reckless. He was deliberate, technical, and terrifying. Trained by boxing legend Joe Frazier, Brashear fought like a professional fighter trapped inside a hockey player's body. He knew how to absorb punishment and deliver it back twice as hard. Standing 6'3" and weighing more than 230 pounds, he was a wall on skates. Over his career, he tallied more than 2,600 penalty minutes and gained a reputation as one of the last pure enforcers in the game. One of his most infamous moments came when he was struck in the head by Marty McSorley's stick, a blow that led to a suspension and a legal case. But even after that, Brashear returned, stronger and angrier. He fought with purpose. Every punch had precision. Every hit had intent. Donald Brashear represented the last breath of an era when enforcers still ruled the rink. Number 2, Bob Probert. Bob Probert isn't just an enforcer, he's a legend. The name alone commands respect and fear. Over his 16-season career, Probert fought more than 200 times and racked up over 3,000 penalty minutes. But unlike most enforcers, he was also a skilled player, scoring goals and making plays. He wasn't a wild brawler, he was calm, calculating, and devastating. When Probert dropped his gloves, crowds roared because they knew they were about to witness something iconic. His battles with Tie Domi became hockey folklore, two warriors trading blows, each refusing to fall. His technique was unmatched, balanced stance, measured swings, and eyes that never blinked. Even referees were careful around him. Probert didn't start fights for fun. He started them when the line was crossed. And once it was, there was no turning back. To this day, every enforcer in the NHL measures himself against Bob Probert, the gold standard of fear. Number 1, Dave Tiger Williams. At number 1 stands the undisputed king of chaos, Dave Tiger Williams. He still holds the record for the most penalty minutes in NHL history with nearly 4,000 minutes spent in the box. But that's not the only reason he's here. Williams was more than a fighter. He was a force of nature. He could score, skate, and scrap all in the same shift. In the 1980-81 season, he shocked everyone by scoring 35 goals while still racking up over 300 penalty minutes. He played with emotion and fury, celebrating goals by riding his stick like a cowboy down the ice, a move that became one of the most iconic celebrations ever. But behind the grin was a man who enforced the game's unspoken law: touch his teammates and you pay the price. He didn't just fight for his team, he was his team's soul. Tiger Williams was the embodiment of everything an enforcer should be: skilled, fearless, and absolutely unrelenting. When he stepped onto the ice, the air itself seemed to change. Everyone knew something was about to happen. These 10 men didn't just toe the line between chaos and discipline, they defined it. They turned hockey rinks into battlegrounds and made intimidation part of the game's DNA. They were protectors, punishers, and symbols of an era when toughness wasn't just physical, it was mental. Today's NHL is faster, cleaner, and more technical, but the echoes of those old battles remain in every hard check and every stare down. They remind us that hockey was once as much about fear as finesse. These enforcers may be gone from the ice, but their legacy endures, etched in bruises, blood, and the respect they commanded. So the next time a modern player throws a big hit, remember the men who made that moment possible, the enforcers who terrified everyone on the ice.